I'm going to start now. Good morning. Thank you so much for to being here. I'm going to talk about how you can see education in times of pandemic. I'm going to start with saying you that in the first months in 2020, measures were implemented to prevent the agglomeration in the people in physical spaces in order to reduce the spread of COVID-19 throughout the world. However, now the economic crisis caused by the pandemic and the course of the schools have inevitably negative consequences on learning and skill trajectories. The suspension of the face-to-face classes represented an unprecedented challenge for education. I'm going to continue with the next education in times of pandemic, got away the forms of education. In this space, we have that the next slide. The points to have to consider, the first is access to educational content. The next is expansion of the digital infrastructure, accompaniment of the teachers, and modification to the school organization. So the access to educational content. It refers to the distribution of national educational content throughout the different media. So we have digital platforms, radio, television, and printed materials. Continue with the presentation. We have the expansion of the digital infrastructure. So new initiatives are applied aimed to increasing opportunities for access to technology and interaction between the teachers and the students through delivery of devices. Recondition of this equipment and free navigation of educational platforms. This point is so much important because we have the accompaniment to the teachers. It was support provided in the areas of campaigning of the streaming, the capacities of the teacher in the context of isolation throughout guideline documents, training in the usual digital technologies, conference, forums for reflection on educational continuity, and spaces for the consultation and active listening. Now with that, we have the next accompaniment to the teacher's varied training proposal. This proposal, we have two virtual conference tutorials or open courses in the use of digital tools and virtual courses. This slide talk about the support for families and youth. This slide is about the action are grouped that offer guidance for the families to accompany children's adolescents at home and emotional support for adults and young people. So come on to educations of the school organizations. The adaptations and modification of the rules that organize access to the schooling, promotion, accreditation, and certification of knowledge in a regular school years were considered. To continue with the presentation, I have to tell you if you have any question to me, I hear you. You can write, please. I'm going to tell you 2 minutes to write. If you have any question, you can write it. Do you understand about the presentation? I think that don't appear, but we have a question from Natalie Salinas, and I'm going to ask the question is, could it be said that social networks are also used to educate? My opinion is that yes, there is a content of social networks that are educational and not only several entertainment. It depends on the use to want to give it. If you have another question, you can write and let me know, please. I give you 1 minute, please, to write it. So, Natalie, share with us the next question. I'm going to to tell you the question for you know about it. And the question is, do you think that the pandemic affected students' learning? In my opinion, is of course it affected learning of the pandemic. Students were not prepared for virtual learning because the teacher and student have no adapt to the using digital tools. If you have any question, Natalie, or not, or if you understand the presentation, can you let me know, please? So Natalie says that everything is understood, but because I want to thank you for the participation and to be here, um, it's to me a pleasure to give you this information about the education in the pandemic. So much thank you. To the next.